Hello, everybody. Just
Yeah. Hi, guys. Hi, Aarushi. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine. Let's just wait for some people to join.
Yes.
Till then, do we have any updates for those who are watching after the live?
For
Yeah. So, guys, what we are going to do now is we have almost reached 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. For anyone who has not subscribed yet, guys, please make sure you do subscribe. We have a lot of content coming for you. We'll make sure we try to reply to all of your comments and try creating uh, content according to your needs. What sort of help do you need, etc. Okay. All right. So, Arushi, how was your day?
It was great. Can you hear me, Divyam? I think I'm having
I
some
can hear you.
connectivity.
I can
You
hear
can
you
hear
very
me.
clearly.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay. All right. My day was great. And it's Friday. So the weekend is closed now, which is great.
So you're one of those weekend merchants. You can't wait for the weekend so you can do, what sort of things do you do on the weekend? Tell me.
Go to sleep. Sleep for a lot of time. Um,
Nice.
so yeah.
So why don't you tell us what other people can do for the weekend that will be fun as well as, maybe some sort of upskilling methods or something that will help you.
Right. So, when we are in the process of learning a language or anything for that matter, we tend to focus a lot on the subject matter or the technical aspects of the language or the subject, right? But what we can also do is to learn the language or the subject through practical means, understanding through experience of just not yourself, of course, but of people who are speaking that language or experts who are speaking that language. So today we actually want to discuss how you can apply some of these techniques in your day-to-day conversations so that you're able to manage situations in a better manner. So yeah, so I'll
Nice.
start as Divyam,
Mm-hmm.
just checking.
Yeah.
Hello, we have a comment for you, Divyam. Um, yeah, so
I wouldn't
I'll
say
get
that's for me. Just because it says sir.
hello. Yes. Okay, so I'll start. um a lot of times when you're talking to somebody, and this can also happen when you're not speaking English, but the chances of this happening more when you're speaking English is just more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously.
So when you're talking to somebody and your mind just goes blank, right? Like you're not able to you're able to comprehend, but you're not able to speak what you want to, and so you don't know, right? And in that moment you feel underconfident and you don't know what to do, and you maybe want to leave that room or run away and hide behind under your blanket or something, and that's totally normal. So when that happens, the first thing to do is to not panic. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but to not panic is the first most important thing to do. Please understand that all of us are human beings and we get it. Like we get when that happens. So yeah, when you're talking to somebody and your mind goes blank, take a pause, right? And let that person know that, hey, I'm sorry, but I've lost my train of thought. That's a phrase you can use. I've lost my train of thought and I honestly don't know what I was going to say. Can you give me a minute or two? I'll come back to the point. Meanwhile, like how are things for you, or what were you saying the other day, or something like that. So if the train of thought, if it comes back to you, great. If it doesn't, just you can always get back to that person. Uh, Also, when you're speaking to somebody or when you're with somebody, what one thing it's easy to relate is humor, right? So when in a situation like that, if you can use humor in your like to save yourself in the situation, it's great. So yeah, so you just saying something like, hey, I honestly don't know what I was saying and I'll get back to you. In the meantime, let's discuss something else. How are things for you? Something like that will always help you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyone who's joining us a little late, who's just joined, today we are going to help you figure out how to solve the problems or the struggles that you're facing when having a conversation. Like times where you're trying to say something but you don't know how to say it, in what way to say it, or maybe you just don't know anything about the topic, right? That is how here we are going to tell you how to solve that problem. Aarushi, do you have a case study or some situation where you got stuck or you couldn't completely, have a conversation? Can you share something with us?
Right.
Maybe
And
it doesn't have to be your situation, it could be anyone's.
it has happened a lot of times actually. And with someone like me who who doesn't have the best presence of mind, like is not in the present a lot of times, is thinking about things and all. It has happened a lot of times where I am speaking to somebody and I was going to say something, but I don't remember at all. Like I'm just relating it to the point that I've just said. And I didn't know what to do. And it is embarrassing, especially when you're speaking to somebody who is not your friend or your colleague or somebody you don't know. But like as years pass, you learn that it's completely fine to be in that situation and to just say things like, hey, I genuinely don't know what to do, like I was saying, and let's just talk about something else and come back to it when I do, if and when I remember it. So yeah, something like that. So not losing your confidence quickly, believing in yourself, and just like going forward is one of the best things you can do in situations anyways when you're embarrassed or you don't know what to do.
Mhm. A lot of people I talk to, they keep saying that there are times where someone starts talking to them. It can be a particular topic, or it can be something they know nothing about, right? And the first thing that they do is they panic because they're either an introvert, or they panic because they don't know anything about it. And the first thing that comes to their mind is switch to your general, your mother tongue, or the language that you're comfortable in. So you can think clearly, so you can deflect. Deflect is basically, if I don't want to talk about something, right, I can just change the topic, or I can very smoothly let you know that there are more important things to talk about, right? You will see this in interviews the most. So a lot of times when someone asks a celebrity a very sensitive question about their personal life, love life, any sort of scandal they've been involved in, what they try to do is they deflect. Okay.
Right.
If there is something you don't want to answer, try and find creative ways to sort of tackle that problem, getting rid of that question, right? So I think the best example, when I realized this is a very good method, especially since our sessions have been being uploading on YouTube, we are going live. So I realized that we need to have that sensitivity training where we need to know some comments we don't need to answer, or maybe some things we don't need to share with everyone, right? That is where I started learning how interviews work, right? So if you want to figure out a way on how to keep the conversation going without completely either embarrassing yourself, or when you don't know what to say, the best way to learn how to deflect is by watching interviews. All right. So you can watch, America has a lot of talk shows. It's called the late night show. Okay, so they have different versions of it. They have the late night show, they have the late night show. They have a lot of morning shows as well. I don't know the names, but Ayushi, can you think of any examples? People should, maybe they can YouTube it to look at clips.
Honestly, just on YouTube, just searching news channels or like English news channels or English news debates, a great way. Because when you're just watching news, like reporters presenting news, it's one thing, but when you see people debate, it's a different level. Like the command of their language, or the way they speak, all of that, it's a different thing altogether. It's a different level of comprehension, articulation of thought, and actually speaking.
Yeah,
so that also helps.
That does certainly help. Just make sure you're not watching a channel or any sort of news channel where people are just going at each other. They're either insulting each other, or they're saying inappropriate things. Just make sure you don't watch such content. You can always go to channels like BBC. I think they're very professional.
BBC. Yes, I was going to say BBC.
They like to keep control of the interview, and I think they do a really good job at keeping the conversation safe and simple. Okay, so you can watch those. You can watch interviews with celebrities. Okay, there are some questions here. Book reading. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Book reading said, "Sir, I'm an introvert. I have so much to talk, but I just can't. I don't know why. Even though when I talk, I don't feel good." So I think the first thing I would like to tell you is, being an introvert nowadays is not a problem. I think Aarushi will agree, because Aarushi is a major introvert. Like you heard already, her weekend plans are just sleeping. A lot of other people would say we would go out to go for a trek or to meet your friends or go have dinner at this new restaurant. But I think Aarushi is the embodiment of introvertedness. Like she said, I want to sleep. And I think other things they could say is I want to read my book, or I want to finish that show I've been waiting, or I wanting to play games away from my, working hours. So I think that is really cool nowadays that you can be an introvert and it's okay. So just remember, being an introvert is not the issue. The issue is that you don't have the experience of having conversations with people. This is why we keep saying practice, practice, practice. You can come here, talk to people, practice on how to make conversation, practice how, if you can't talk, you will be able to clarify thought. I think someone else made a really good point saying clarity of thought is important. I think Neeraj said that clarity of thoughts is really important. Always focus on saying one thing at a time. Yeah. So whenever I do have a session, I keep telling people, let's say you have a story, right? Or not story, sorry. Let's say you want to put up a point to someone else. We're talking about electric cars, right? So think of one or two points that you are really confident about and just mention those 2 points and let the other person take the responsibility of moving the conversation forward. Remember, guys, conversation is not just you constantly talking. It's two people having a conversation with each other. It has to be balanced, right? So if you talk too much, they won't like you because you're not letting them talk. If you talk too little, they won't like you because you're not saying anything. So what should they say? So you have to find the perfect balance. And I think Aarushi will also have some tips on how to get these points clear in your mind.
Right. So, like when I was a student and I was learning English, right, I would make a silly mistake. What I would do is when I would be writing, I would not I would write in long sentences. I would not put enough full stops and commas because we have a lot to say, right? And we do this mistake also when we are speaking, is we forget to put full stops when we are speaking, like imaginary full stops. But when you're learning something, that's one way, a method or a trick that you can use, that when you're speaking, put imaginary full stops. Be conscious of what you're saying and speak in, as Divyam said, small sentences, right? That is easier because it also gives you some time and space to actually think about your point. And you're also not blabbering, because I don't think so you want to do that. But you're also not speaking in phrases, which again, you don't want to do that. So in small, easy, simple sentences, nobody again wants you to use fancy words. It's okay. When you're speaking, it's okay if you don't use fancy words. So cutting down on those fancy words and speaking in normal conversational English helps. So that's one thing. And coming back to the introvert point, there is absolutely nothing wrong in being an introvert. Although what you need to find a balance in is that how to continue to network and socialize, because that's required at the same time maintain being an introvert. So that's the balance that you need to find. Beyond that, it's okay if you don't like talking. It's completely fine. But when required, let's say in a social event, or when you want to, let's say, get that job, but for that you need to network with somebody, then you've got to speak to them, right? But otherwise, it's okay if you don't like talking. That's okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Hopefully we've covered that point, guys. All right. Let's say I'm also going to talk about storytelling now. Okay, that is another problem that I think a lot of learners are facing right now. Guys, remember, we are saying you can't do this, you can't do that. But at the end of the day, if you don't try, if you don't do it, then you're never going to learn. Just remember, guys, practice is the most important. It doesn't matter if you're going to be right or wrong in the beginning. It matters whether you take that first step or not. So practice with your friends, with someone who is a really good English speaker, okay? Because it is possible to talk to your friends or to your family members who may have some sort of shortcomings as well. Maybe they don't know how to use tenses or something. Just make sure you don't talk to them all the time, because you may also learn their bad habits. Habits are, the thing is, you don't know whether a habit is good or bad until it affects you, right? So make sure you're talking to as many people as possible. Talk about various topics. Don't just talk about things you know. I've seen this a lot. A lot of learners, they'll come to the session and they'll very fluently just introduce themselves. Okay, my name is this, I work here, I'm from this city. And I'm like, oh, this person is a really good speaker. But as soon as I ask them something that they don't know, they start fumbling, they start panicking. And I ask them, how come you Initially I used to ask them, how come you just so smoothly gave an introduction without any mistakes, without any hesitation? And then I realized that's because of practice. They've practiced introducing themselves so many times that now it's become a script in their mind. It's just copy paste. So they don't have a problem saying that. But when it comes to having a conversation about something new, a topic that is trending currently, let's say I asked you about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, which was trending a while back, right? So then they become really scared. They're like, okay, what do I say? They start speaking really slowly.
Right.
Their confidence drops, their fluency drops. So just remember, guys, whenever something like that happens, you only have to practice. That is the only way you can get out of it. Keep practicing, keep experimenting with new hobbies. You have to keep, consuming content and getting new information. So the way, um, I realize consuming content is really important, at least for me, is because whenever I would have a session with someone and I would ask them, hey, what do you do for a living? Or what are your hobbies? I realized I always had an experience or some point of view or some answer to that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when it
Right.
comes to, let's say a certain individual has said, I'm studying to be a pilot, or I am, planning to uh, have a career in the aviation industry. Right. I remember I used to watch this documentary on National Geographic called Air Crash Investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So whenever I think of a topic, like today we have to talk about aviation because the person is from the aviation industry, I would just try to think of these questions that I had when I watched that show. And I used to watch it for a really long time. So I don't know if this is a fair example, but I have no experience in the aviation industry other than flying for vacation, I guess. But
Right.
I would just ask them questions like, okay, what sort of authorities do you have to answer to in India? When it comes to the aviation industry, what sort of rest period do you have between flights? How many flights can you legally fly in a day? Is there something like, can you be overworked or can you be underworked, right? So these are some really interesting questions, and it surprises them because they're like, okay, he knows something about it, so I can have a conversation with him, right? We don't want to bore them. We just want to make them feel like, okay, I know a little bit, so let's have a conversation for a little while, right? Now someone who's studying to become a director, right, for like a movie director, or they want to do they want to create web series or shows, you can always start watching a show, or if you really love a movie, just go to YouTube, type the movie's name, and type behind the scenes or
Mm-hmm.
bloopers or directors, something director's cut. There are lots of ways in which you can do your homework even about something you really like, a book, a movie, a show. YouTube has a lot of content about it, right? So let's say Netflix releases the show, Money Heist or Squid Games, and you really love the show and you love everything about it, the characters, the story. So it won't be boring for you to talk about it or to see it, right? So let's use that. Go to YouTube and type behind the scenes for Squid Games. How did they create the games? How did they get the quality? How did they get the story right? And when you watch these documentaries or these videos on YouTube, you will realize what it takes to be in the industry, to direct a show, to handle the talent. Talent is basically the term they use when they're talking about the artists, right? So the cast, the casting, the directors, you need to sort of be able to have a conversation with someone about that. I know that this doesn't sound like an easy thing, but always remember, if you do something that you love, it will never be a task, right? We're trying to uh, make this a habit. We're not trying to complete a task. Same thing, I think Arushi's reel just went up today, or I think a couple of days ago, where she said that if you are struggling with books, right? What you need to do is you need to make sure you focus on one book at a time, not like reading 10 books at a time. Because start with the book you love, start with the story or a self-help book that you think is affecting you. Then you will feel the satisfaction of finishing that book. Okay, I'm very happy that I actually finished my first book. Now let's find something that I actually like again, instead of reading 10 books that you don't care about only because you want to improve your English. Then it'll always be a task. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Arushi, did I miss anything?
No, you didn't. And I want to add something here. Uh, to like it's more about, so when you're studying something or when you're learning something, right? It's this thought process of constantly being curious, right? So when Divyam says something like, oh, if you're watching a movie, you can go up on YouTube and look for the behind the scenes or the bloopers. That should be your instinct. Like that should be in you to do that sort of research, because there is a lot to learn there, right? Not just, of course, the movie and the theme and all of that, but just the way people speak, the culture, everything. And that gives you more confidence. Now, for example, I am somebody who's not interested in sports, just isn't. And I don't even pretend to be interested. I'm just not. But that doesn't mean that I cannot have a conversation with me when it comes to sports, because I am updated with latest news. Do not question me, Divyam. Do not even quiz me, because yeah.
Guys,
But
put in more questions in the comments. Let's test Aarushi.
but even if you do quiz me, right, it's not like I'm going to be blank, because I know how to respond and I feel confident enough to say things like, hey, I don't know, but you can tell me what's up, and then maybe I can go on with the conversation
Let's
with
test
you.
that. Wait, let's test that in real life. I'm not
Mhm.
trying to embarrass you or anything, but I know you'll be able to handle this. I don't know the answer to this as well. But which cricket team won the latest World Cup? Guys, if you know the answer, put it in the comments. We won't read the comments until we give the answer, I promise. Arushi, go ahead.
Latest World Cup, 1 second. Huh?
No, don't Google anything.
No, I'm not Googling, searching. Well, clearly, I'm not aware, as I should be, but I'm not. But
How would you tackle that question? Let's say
yeah.
you and I met at a
Mhm.
work meeting and I asked
Right.
you, hey, Arushi, did you see the latest World Cup? What did you think about the team? Did you think they deserve to win?
Right. So thank you for asking that, Divyam. Clearly, I'm living under a rock because I don't know. So if you can just tell me what's happening, what was the score, how did they win, who was the greatest player or whatever in the team?
The
Tell
most
me.
valuable player.
The most valuable things. I didn't even know the term. Yeah. So who was the most
MVP.
valuable player? Yeah. Tell me, right? And then Divyam can. So it's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
is it slightly embarrassing? Yes, but is it funny? Yes, because you can't just stop the conversation and become really closed off because you don't know enough, because you're never going to know enough about things,
Yeah.
right? But you have to keep going on. I can
And
keep speaking.
And guys, remember, there's no one answer to that question. Let's say
Right.
she doesn't know that. Okay. Another way she could tackle it is by saying, I used to follow cricket with my dad when I was really young. I watched us win the World Cup. I watched India win the World Cup. But since then, I've been busy with work. I've been busy with a couple of things. So I haven't really been able to follow. But why don't you tell me which teams are the best in the world currently and which team won the
Yep.
World Cup?
Yep.
Right? I think that's another good way of tackling
That's
that.
another good thing. Yep.
Yeah. So make sure, see, a lot of people look at conversations like they're in an exam.
Mhm.
Just because I asked Arushi which team won or what do you think about that team and she doesn't know the answer, doesn't mean she can't say anything.
Yeah.
Right? Unlike exams, we can actually say we don't know and no one will punish us.
Punish us.
Right?
Yes.
But there's a
Mhm.
way of saying don't know, because it's like, if like in my example, I said I used to watch it, but I haven't been able to keep up, or I've been living under a rock, like Arushi said. Why don't you update me on that? That is also you furthering the conversation, progressing it, because
Right.
that person gets the chance to tell you something they are passionate about.
Passionate about. Exactly. And people love talking about things they're passionate about.
Yeah.
So it's just 5 points for you, 5 on 5, if you do that.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah.
So make
Like,
sure you don't think about it in just that there is only one answer to any question. It's not that. Okay. And if you watch interviews, if you watch, you know, on a news channel, if you watch an interview, or on a talk show where you watch interviews, you will see that there is no correct answer to any question. It just has to be interesting. It has to be good enough for the person to give you a reply or to move on to a different topic. Or you can just say, I don't know, but don't say just, okay, I don't know, and then stop talking.
or
Because
just, are you blank and you're looking at them and crickets are like, going around in
it
your,
becomes awkward.
yeah.
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 So
So
it becomes very problematic because the person is like, okay, should I continue? Should I talk
yeah,
about
like
something
they're looking at you, you're looking at them, and people around you are looking at the both of you, like, now what?
else?
So do
Right.
that. And also understand this, that when you are so honest with people around you, even if you're speaking with somebody you're not familiar with, you become extremely relatable when you give responses like this. Like, when you're so honest and you're so, it just shows your skill of understanding and handling social interactions. So don't be worried and don't read too much into things. Just go for it, is what it is. And Divyam is right. Like, do not answer and do not think that you're in a viva or writing a paper when you're speaking. Just because you think you don't know enough about English, it doesn't mean you don't. And the person in front of you doesn't know. So just go on.
Yeah, I think we've covered everything, guys. If you have any questions, you know the drill. You can put it in the comments after the video goes up on YouTube as a normal video. You can watch this again. You can share this with your friends. Let them know that, hey, this happens to me. Let's focus on this. That this happens to us. Let's fix this by working together or by practicing together. Okay. Thank you guys again for 10,000 followers. Like I already said, if you have not subscribed yet, please do. Make sure your friends subscribe as well. Both of y'all can grow together. Okay, it's not a competition. And obviously, if there's anything else, let us know. Aarushi, did I miss anything? All right, no problem. I think we've lost Aarushi. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you
you're
hear
back.
me?
Yes, you're
Yes,
back.
you didn't miss out on anything. Yep. That's pretty much it. Just, I don't know, surround yourself with English in a way where you feel confident, even in situations when you feel you're not going to be. Just do it, learn it in a way which you feel is the best, truly. Because we are here to suggest, but then you do what you feel is correct. That's how you learn.
Yeah. By the way, Aman told us Australia won the latest.
Yes, I saw. Thank you so much, Aman.
Now, for a fact, I'll tell you, because Aarushi and I are generally curious human beings, we are going to Google everything about the World Cup to
Yes.
make sure that the next time someone asks us this question, we have at least some sort of answer.
Some idea. Yes. But it's okay. It's not like I'm going to write a research paper. I'm just going to Google, check Uber, great. But I'm going to check, right? And so that, but that's okay. Like, if this happens in the future also, now you know.
All right. Okay, guys, we'll be ending the live now. Thank you so much for your commitment. Thank you so much for liking, sharing our videos, for showing all the love. It's been a great journey. We've reached 10,000 subscribers, and our team was asking us when we are going to hit 1 million. So we're on the road to that. And thanks to you guys. Thanks to all of our supporters and lovers. Thank you so much. Hi to anyone we missed out on. Bye to anyone that is still here. All right.
Thank you.
So
Bye,
much,
everybody.
Bye-bye.